My name is Ralf Lindeboom. I work at the Water Management Department of TU Delft and I welcome you to this video about phototrophic wastewater treatment. After viewing this video, you should be able to explain the reasons for introducing purple phototrophic bacteria in wastewater treatment, have gained insight into how the basic photoorganoheterotrophic metabolism enables purple non-sulfur bacteria, PNSB, to compete with microalgae, aerobic bacteria and anaerobic bacteria in wastewater treatment plants. You should be able to use the surface to volume ratio and the paddle wheel as key parameters for designing a phototrophic raceway reactor for wastewater treatment. A key advantage of phototrophic microorganisms compared to chemotrophic microorganisms is that they can use solar energy to produce ATP. This additional energy translates into the following practical advantages for biological wastewater treatment. Improved growth rates or yield of these microbes. Improved ability to generate more complex enzymes or more value-added intracellular compounds. To understand the potential role of purple phototrophic organisms in wastewater treatment, I will first explain the difference between oxygenic photosynthesis and anoxygenic photosynthesis. In oxygenic photosynthesis, visible light, except green light, is harvested through plant or bacterial chlorophyll and used to convert water as electron donor and CO2 as electron acceptor into oxygen. Combined with the produced organic compounds, macro and trace elements are then converted into new cells. Although often associated with the green color, especially oxygenic phototrophic microorganisms may have a different color originating from the specific combination of carotenoids and bacterial chlorophyll in the light harvesting complex in their cells. In anoxygenic photosynthesis, near-infrared light is absorbed by the associated bacterial chlorophylls and used to convert different electron donors into new biomass. But instead of oxygen, alternative byproducts are produced. Unlike oxygenic phototrophs, the specific combination of carotenoids and bacterial chlorophyll makes them typically appear purple, which is why they are often referred to as purple phototrophic bacteria, or PPB. It should be noted that their color may change depending on environmental conditions. Within the clade of phototrophic purple bacteria, purple sulfur bacteria typically use sulfur compounds as electron donor. In contrast, the purple non-sulfur bacteria, or the PNSB, prefer the use of organic non-sulfur compounds as electron donor. Stratified lakes, rich in degrading plant organic material, are therefore a well-known natural PNSB habitat. In wastewater treatment, organic compounds are more common pollutants than sulfur compounds, hence we are more interested in utilizing PNSB. Focusing on purple non-sulfur bacteria for wastewater treatment, the addition of solar energy enables them to convert pollutants with a higher yield and/or a faster growth rate into new biomass. Moreover, the additional solar energy enables them to degrade more complex pollutants and convert waste into more valuable compounds like carotenoids, PHA, hydrogen gas and protein compared to their chemoorganoheterotrophic peers. When targeting organic compound removal, PNSB compete with aerobic chemoorganoheterotrophic and anaerobic chemoorganoheterotrophic bacteria. Sufficient light penetration and oxygen-limited conditions favor the relative PNSB growth rate. The limited access to oxygen inhibits their aerobic competitors, while exposure to limited oxygen inhibits their anaerobic competitors. If treating nitrogen and phosphorus-rich wastewater, light exposure also favors the growth of microalgae that compete with PNSB for light by creating shade. The high ratio of total organic carbon, TOC, versus total inorganic carbon, TIC, is important to favor PNSB, as they grow more easily on both carbon sources. Interestingly, PNSB requires near-infrared wavelengths for growth, while the growth of microalgae is typically dependent on the visible light wavelengths. So a higher ratio of near light to visible light would benefit the growth of PNSB. These competitive advantages and disadvantages can be used as selection pressure to steer towards the microbial community needed to treat our wastewater. For example, in a raceway reactor, the wastewater is being exposed to the air and solar insolation. At low flow rates and high biomass concentrations, water layers remain stratified, with deeper layers anaerobic and dark, and the top layer aerobic and illuminated. Assuming a fixed surface area for simplicity, increasing the depth of the water level creates more volume, which at a constant inflow rate gives the microbes more time to consume the organic pollutants. It, however, also favors the growth of anaerobic chemoorganoheterotrophic bacteria in the deeper oxygen-depleted layers. If more shallow, the lower volume and retention time lead to lower organic and nutrient removal capacity, but a higher abundance of aerobic, oxygen-tolerant and phototrophic organisms. But, relatively speaking, it also increases the exposure to oxygen and light per unit of volume. Given the previously described competition between PNSB and other microbes, optimizing the surface area to volume ratio is thus very important to create a PNSB-dominated wastewater treatment plant similar to their natural habitat. A paddle wheel inside the raceway reactor can then be used to mix the deeper and upper water layers and thereby tip the balance by fine-tuning the exposure to oxygen, organics and light in favor of PNSB. To some extent, nutrient exposure can be influenced as well, but additional loading rate control may be needed. Additionally, the ratio of vis to near light may be influenced by covering the raceway pond with visible light absorbing plates or artificial lighting in the near-infrared wavelength. Lastly, light penetration is wavelength, temperature and shading dependent, and that deserves its own lecture to optimize it for PNSB abundance. To conclude, you now can explain the reasons for introducing purple phototrophic bacteria in wastewater treatment. You should understand how the basic photoorganoheterotrophic metabolism enables purple non-surfable bacteria to compete with microalgae, aerobic bacteria and anaerobic bacteria in wastewater treatment plants, and can start designing a PNSB-dominated raceway reactor for wastewater treatment using the surface to volume ratio and the paddle wheel.